Hi everyone, it's Alia or Cake Legend, and today we're making another recipe. Today I'm sharing with you my sugar cookie recipe, the one that I use for all of my royal icing decorated sugar cookies. I like this recipe because the cookies typically stay very soft as opposed to being more hard and crunchy, so let's get right into it. Grab your mixing bowl and a scale, and we're going to start by measuring 172 grams of sugar. Then we're going to add 77 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature, or a little bit softened is okay. We're going to cream these together on our mixer on a medium to high speed, just until it's light and fluffy looking. Once we have it all mixed up, it should look something like this. We're going to add 1 egg and give it another mix on the lowest speed, just until the egg is combined. Now we're going to put the bowl back on the scale and measure out 15 grams of milk, 5 grams of baking powder, a big pinch of salt or about a 1/4 teaspoon, and 5 grams of vanilla extract. I usually mix these in by hand because it's such a small amount, it's just easier. And then we can put the bowl back on the scale so we can measure the flour. We need 278 grams total, but I usually do it in 2 portions. So we're going to do about half of that first. I measured out 150 grams into my bowl, and then I put it on the mixer and let it mix on a low speed until everything was well combined. Adding all of the flour at once is kind of a lot, and it gets a little difficult to scrape the sides of the bowl and make sure everything is properly incorporated, which is why I do it in 2 portions. Then I put it back on the scale and measured the remaining amount, which was about 128 grams, and then I put it back on the mixer so we could finish up our dough. Once that last bit of flour is incorporated and you can see that a dough has formed, you can stop mixing. It should be thick and somewhat pulling away from the sides of the bowl, but of course, if your butter was really soft, then the dough is going to be very soft and probably sticking to the sides of the bowl. You can chill your dough in the fridge for about 30 minutes or more before you start rolling it out, and this just helps relax the gluten and help it firm up so it's not so sticky. When I roll out my dough, I like to have my dusting flour, a ruler so I can make sure that my cookies are all even, and of course, the rolling pin. You want to be very light with the dusting flour. Only add as much as you need so that your dough isn't sticking to the counter or your rolling pin. If you use too much dusting flour, then your dough's just gonna have more flour incorporated and become more tough. And then you can go ahead and roll your dough as evenly as possible. I like to flip mine around and rotate it so that I'm really getting everything. Now before I cut out my cookies, I'm going to measure the thickness of the dough. I usually aim for a 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimeter, and I just place my ruler on the counter on all sides of the dough to make sure it's very even. We don't want some cookies thick and some cookies thin. When you're happy with the thickness, you can go ahead and cut whatever type of cookies you'd like. You can even dip the cutters into some flour to make sure they don't stick. Just give your cutter a little tap on the counter though to get rid of some excess flour. If you chill your dough before rolling it out though, you shouldn't have any problems with sticking. You can go ahead and just press the cutters straight down, remove all the excess dough, and then pick up your beautifully cut cookies. I place them right onto my baking trays and then put them in the oven. Here's what they look like before baking, and then they go in the oven at 350. The amount of time they bake for depends on the size of your cookie, but I would say typically 5 to 12 minutes, or until the bottoms are just turning a very light golden brown. Here they are after baking, and you can see the bottoms and the edges are very lightly colored. If you bake them for a bit longer, they won't have that nice soft texture that I was talking about before, which is okay. If soft cookies aren't your thing, go ahead and bake them for a bit longer. But I typically like mine on the softer side. Make sure you let them cool for a bit on the pan before transferring them to a wire rack. And when they're all cooled off, you can go ahead and decorate them however you'd like. This dough also freezes very well, so instead of rolling and cutting some cookies, you can always make it in advance, wrap it up nice and tight, and then put it into your freezer. Just make sure you use it within a month or two. And that's it! My sugar cookie recipe for all of you to now enjoy. Be sure to leave a comment and like if you try out the recipe. Let me know what you think. Of course, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you would like to see more videos like this one. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!